Hello, this is Tyler from Channel14 on YouTube.com. I am at the Bruins Leafs playoff game 2 at TD Garden, and you're watching Post to Post. Take it away, Neil and Brent.
Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. Whoa. Boston beats Toronto for the third time in a Game 7 in the last 8 years or 9 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just crazy. I mean, This is... I predicted Boston to win, but I wanted Toronto to win. So either way, I was going to be pissed off, and either way, I was going to be happy. So I actually found it a bit difficult to watch this series as a Canadiens fan, and yeah, I'm struggling wearing this, I know. But I found it hard to cheer for one of these teams. I was cheering for Toronto. I wanted Toronto to win, but I did find it hard to watch. But as a hockey fan, there were really, really good games in this series and really terrible games. The last game, what did you think of that? Game 7.
Game 7 was, well, forget who you want to win, just for pure hockey. I thought the first 2 goals Boston scored were beauties, and Boston had a nice lead on the go. Toronto scored that goal to get back in the game.
Toronto's second period I thought was really good.
It was really good. And I thought Toronto played a good third period overall until it got out of reach. When that third goal got scored, it's like the air came out of things a little bit. But I thought Toronto still skated very well. I don't think they played as well as Mike Babcock thought they played.
Did you watch the post-game press
conference? I did.
Wasn't it strange?
It was almost John Cooper-like. It was weird.
He didn't take any accountability.
No.
He blamed, not directly, but the GM and the players and Anderson kind of a little bit.
It was very bizarre.
So players.
Yeah. Players, we got a good group.
That was Trump, not Babcock.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it was a bit of a cringeworthy
it was.
presser, I guess they call it.
It was. I thought overall it was a generally decent hockey game. I like games that are exciting and because they're close, but I like games as well that are, I try to put myself in the position of the fans, and I like games that are decisive. This was a decisive game. When Boston scored that third goal, everybody knew that was it.
Yeah.
And Boston was able to lock it down.
I agree.
So Boston had a 3-1 lead. Toronto had some looks, but not enough, and Boston locked it down. I picked Toronto to go out in 5 games. I thought Boston was going to really handle them more than they were able to. So I thought the series was going to end a couple of games ago. So by stretching them to 7 games, I think Toronto outperformed my expectations.
And I disagreed with your expectations
You did.
when we made that video.
You did.
I thought it was going 7.
Yeah, and you were right.
I couldn't see a Toronto-Boston series not going 7. The teams are too evenly matched. They're too good.
But it's funny, when I started watching the games, like that first win in Boston for Toronto in Game 1, I thought, okay, it's on. And I remember telling you after Game 5, the team that wins Game 5 is going to win the series.
Yeah.
And Toronto won Game 5.
Yeah.
And I was convinced, because now Toronto have 2 chances to win this out. The first of those 2 chances is at home in their own rink, and they fail to do it. And then when they get to Boston, they've blown their best chance, and now they have a less good chance, and down they went.
I know. It's pretty crazy. It's kind of like Vegas had the lead in their series, and we're going to talk about that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
That's coming.
But if you're a Toronto fan, and I've told this story a bunch of times now, but if you're a Toronto fan and Boston comes back in the third period of Game 7 after being way down and comes back from oblivion and crushes you and beats you out in Game 7, that's painful. This way of going out in Game 7, I think, is a lot less painful because you don't have your hopes up all game long only to see them dashed in the last few minutes, which we will talk about in the other series. So I think there's a little bit of mercy on the Toronto fans here. The game was a little more decisive in Boston's favor. Those 2 fairly quick goals, not that they were early in the game necessarily, but they were scored before Toronto got on the score sheet. And Boston was able to play a different style of hockey at that point.
They were a bit more defensive, and some of the goals that Anderson let in were a little soft. So
that first one,
that wasn't. See, to me, that one was just weird.
That was just weird. The weirdest part of that first one was not that it snuck in, because they do sneak in from time to time, but when they sneak in, they usually have no momentum left, and they just fall inside the net.
I don't know how that went.
This one continued with momentum to the back of the net and bounced out through the crease.
Yeah.
How it maintained that speed going through nowhere, because I wouldn't think you could get an aspirin through there.
I know.
But the puck went all the way through with momentum, bounced, and came back out again. Yeah. I still don't know how that happened.
I don't blame him for that.
No. Because he covered the post. Yeah. Obviously not well enough. But he did. He positioned himself to the best of his ability. And it still went in. And that might be hockey gods doing that. I don't know.
I don't know. But Toronto, inconsistent. Like the first period was, I thought, really bad for Toronto. Really inconsistent. The second period, they kind of picked things up a little bit.
Yeah.
First to the third, they looked okay, and then about halfway through the third, it was just, I don't know, they just didn't have it. They were just, and a lot of people are calling out Jake Gardiner and stuff, and that's not anything new. We saw that last year, and now we're seeing it again. And I'm not even going to touch that other than what I just said. There's lots of people in Leafs Nation talking about Jake Gardiner, so if you can find out more information on him from them. I thought Rask was pretty good that entire game.
Yeah.
It's not like Toronto had like a ton of chances, but there were some moments of this game where Toronto was all over Boston.
Oh, yeah.
And Rask was pretty good. So
yeah, he was.
I thought that he was – actually, I thought he was pretty consistent throughout the whole series, considering they're playing Toronto, one of the best defensive teams in the league. So definitely some kudos to Rask there.
Yeah.
As far as the rest of the series, I want to talk a little bit about Toronto, and then I'm going to run through some Boston stuff.
Sure.
You okay with that?
No, go. It's your show.
So Babcock made some questionable decisions in this series. Okay, just for example, last night he put out Patty in the last 5 minutes of the game or whatever, last 2 minutes or whatever. And in his presser, he said that they asked him why was Patrick Marleau out there, one of your slowest guys, when you're trying to score some goals or whatever. And he said that Patty's part of our second line there, and basically that
got a little playoff experience.
He no, that's Trump again.
I'm doing my best, okay?
He likes Patrick
Trump is this.
He likes Patrick Marleau, but he likes Patrick Marleau, and he wanted him on there for the second line. He didn't want to split up the lines and bring in someone new, which is weird to say because he's always switching the lines up. Like he put Tyler Ennis and someone else with Nylander, I think, or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but it was just honestly I can't keep up because he changes the lines so much it seems. So, anyways, it's just I just don't see how anyone can defend Babcock and some of the decisions that he made in this series. He's so stubborn.
In the presser afterwards, we got a good group. There's a good bunch of guys. They like hanging out together.
They like hanging out together.
What the heck?
What are you talking about?
They like hanging out together. Yeah, they can hang out in the dressing room right now because guess what? They're going home.
Yeah.
They can hang out together in the airplane.
It was weird.
And when they go to clean out their lockers this week, they can hang out together. They like hanging out together. They're good guys. And, there's movements in the off season, so it won't be the same. There'll be changes. And you might be one of them, buddy.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think you can fire him, but I honestly would not be surprised if he was fired. But anyway, what do you think of Tyler Ennis this series?
I actually didn't.
You didn't think about him?
I didn't think about him.
Really? I thought he was one of the best players on the ice.
Cool. Like, I didn't really pay attention to who was doing what.
He wasn't like throwing up goals and assists everywhere and stuff, but I thought he did a lot of important things on the ice. He's so fast and so quick. He dictated a lot of the play in the offensive zone, and so definitely a shout out to Tyler Ennis. He had a great series. Austin Matthews was pretty good. He's on the score sheet, scoring some important goals, so nothing to complain about there. I would say that Anderson was pretty good the entire series up until Game 7. In Game 7, he let in some soft ones. Marleau just looks like he can't keep up with that team. Toronto's so fast, and Marleau's old in hockey standards, so he just looks a little slow, and I love Patrick Marleau. He's one of my favorite players, so tough to say that, but he is definitely on the downward slope of his career. Nylander was frustrating to watch. There were times where he looked like a magician with the puck, and then just times where he would just give it away and just make stupid, like, neutral zone passes right to the, like, tape on tape pass to the opposing stick, and it's just really frustrating. The best player I thought for Toronto by far was Morgan Rielly. Like,
he is a special player.
Holy crap! Like, he just does everything. Like, he does everything, and he does it so well. Giordano, he's probably going to win the Norris Trophy. But, man, Rielly, you got people talking about him. Like it could have happened, but I don't think it will. Tavares, what do you think?
Well, he got the goal last night.
He did,
and
you can't say that he didn't contribute this year or in the playoffs.
That's right. I think he stepped up. He did what he's capable of doing. He had a great season, all things considered. He had a decent playoffs. They didn't all pull the wagon with the same degree of force, and I think that's the drawback there. There wasn't a balanced attack like it probably should have been for the entire team, considering the talent depth that they've really got. It just didn't come out in the series very, very often. But I thought he had a decent series, but I think we were so consumed by the Toronto sports media and the hype over the summer of the signing.
Yeah.
Where's he going to go? Always with Toronto and pictures of him in his bed as a kid. And, it's just, please. I think nobody could live up to that expectation, even him.
Not the first year.
Not in the first year. And he did have a good season and he had a good playoff. But he didn't carry the team on his back like a lot of people, I guess, were entitled to expect he would.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. So. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. What do you think of Jake Muzzin?
I still see him as an odd fit for Toronto. And when the trade happened with L.A., I thought it was odd that I just didn't see him in a Toronto uniform, and I'm still having trouble.
I completely agree. It's so strange seeing
I have
him.
No explanation for it.
It was like seeing Plekanec in a Maple Leafs uniform last year.
Yeah, and he's got that beard, and of course Toronto's been a clean-cut team for most of its history recently, and this is the first year they're letting them get a little shaggy. So he fits in a little better than he would have last year for sure, or the year before. But I was okay. He was all right.
I thought he did pretty good. I thought he fit in pretty well. I can actually see Muzzin's staying there long term. So maybe that happens. I don't know, but I actually hope it does.
I hope they make him a decent offer and then he sticks around. I think Toronto needs some spirit and size on the defense.
I agree.
And that's really what he brings. It's not so much the skill game, but it's a tough game, and they need some toughness back there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I thought there were some pretty underrated players for Toronto, even though they lost the series. They took it to 7 games. They played pretty good, and I don't think that would have been possible with some of the secondary guys who maybe don't get a lot or don't get talked about a lot. Players like Moore and Hyman and Brown, like these grindy players who put in 110%. So I really like the play from those three specifically.
Yeah.
There's a few others in Toronto that I liked as well, but that's basically all I have to say for Toronto in this.
Yeah, some players did step up. If the superstars, the Matthews and the Marners and people like that, and they were good. But if they elevated their game to the same percentage as some of the lesser skilled players, then Toronto would have had a better outcome, I think.
Yep.
But if you're playing at 95% all through the regular season and shining very well, it's hard to find that extra in the playoffs. Some players are good at rationing themselves through the regular season and then showing up. Like Mike Camilleri is a good example from years ago, where he was okay during the regular season, and then in the playoffs he gets like 13 goals or something. Yeah. It's just like, where did that come from? Because he was saving it up. That's my theory.
Phil Kessel has that theory about him as well. So,
yeah. And he's got lots of reserves. Yeah. All right.
On to Boston. So first person I want to talk about is DeBrusk. I honestly thought he was going to be a bit more of an offensive punch, I guess, in this series. And he did contribute. Like, he had a lot of looks at the net and stuff, and he did get some points, obviously. But I thought I was a bit underwhelmed by DeBrusk. He's my favorite player on Boston.
Yeah,
I was a bit underwhelmed. I really thought that he was going to be the breakout player in the series. I thought he was going to be like a series-changing player. I thought that he might even lead the Boston Bruins in points in this series.
Okay.
So maybe my expectations are too high. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit disappointed on him. But I did think he played well.
I did too, and I don't think he was so much a factor in the score sheet. That's obvious. There's statistics to show that. But winning board battles and going in the corners and things like that, I saw him many times being a very big presence in those kinds of situations, and that counts for a lot. It's the puck. It's the puck play that gets you goals and assists, but it's the play without the puck that gets you wins.
Yep.
And I think he contributed nicely.
Yep,
in
definitely.
that department. Yep.
And we can't make this video and not talk about Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak. That line, that was just fantastic. Like, I thought throughout the entire series they were great. Marchand specifically had a great series. That really hurts to say because I don't like him.
Yeah.
Bergeron is him same self he's always been. He's the most consistent player in the NHL, and he's
the face-off circle is
it's crazy.
It's lights out.
He's the perfect player.
He's got skill. He's got class. He's got wisdom.
He does have wisdom.
A tremendous amount of experience over a lot of years. He's got a Stanley Cup ring to show for it. And he's a fantastic player. Any team would be lucky to have him. Boston's lucky.
Yep, I agree.
To have a guy like that.
One player that I was not expecting a lot from, and this goes kind of back to the trade deadline, and we've already kind of discussed the trade, obviously, but Charlie Coyle.
Yeah.
He kind of came into Boston, didn't really...
He had a very slow start.
Yeah, kind of a bit of a slow start, but honestly, I really see Charlie Coyle fitting in with this team very well. He started to play really good for Boston late in the season, and then in this series, I thought that he played really well. So
yeah, he played really well.
I mean, we'll get to see more of him, obviously,
we will.
in round 2, which is awesome. But
I was impressed and a little bit surprised based on his slow start.
I was surprised as well, yeah.
Yeah, but he did well.
I thought depth was a factor as well in Boston. I mean, any series that goes to 7 games, you're going to see some pretty good depth from both teams. Boston was no exception. Heinen, Krejci, Nordstrom, Corrali. Like, there's probably 7 other names that I could name in Boston. They just have a pretty deep team, so pretty good to see. I would say some of Boston's losses were due to character or effort versus skill or roster, if that makes any sense. Like, there were times when Boston, in games that they lost, where they had a lot of chances, but they just passed the puck 9 times too many.
Yeah.
It was one of their biggest problems throughout the entire year, really. And they just didn't have the same effort level that they had in some of those big wins like they did last night. So I think, which is a kind of a good thing because, well, it's not really a good thing, but I mean, if you don't have the skill and you don't have the roster you want, and you're in the playoffs, there's nothing you can do about it. You have to play with the guys that you have. But if when you have the guys that you have and you're not getting the effort level, at least it's there. At least you know it's there.
It's available.
It's available.
Somewhere, sometime.
Yeah, you might
maybe
get
not
it,
yet.
But
maybe in Game 4 in Columbus it might be available.
Maybe.
And that's when you need it most.
Maybe not.
Probably. Maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah. I would say just shoot the puck. Like, just to quit trying to be fancy. They've got the Montreal Canadiens disease of trying to be fancy. Just shoot the puck. Like, Marchand has such a skilled shot. There's so many people on the team that are just scoring machines. Like, just shoot the puck.
Yeah, and if you don't score, like we talked about a few weeks ago, a few things can happen. If you don't score, the goalie might smother the puck and absorb it. Or the goalie might give up a juicy rebound.
Yeah.
And then you have a secondary scoring chance right there. So you shoot it.
Absolutely.
It's just as good as passing the puck.
Boom.
Shoot the puck and let the other player that you would have passed it to get it on the rebound and score with it.
Heck yeah.
How about that?
Anyways, that's all I have to say about this series. Let me know your thoughts down below.
I have one more question for you.
Shoot.
The suspension of Nazem Kadri.
Yes.
Do you think that played a role in the outcome of the series at the end of the day, or was it a non-factor? Plus ways or minus ways. With Kadri in the lineup, do Toronto even get to Game 7? With Kadri in the lineup, do they win Game 7? I honestly don't know. I wonder what you think.
I don't know either. I think Kadri's a pretty important factor for Toronto as far as I'm not talking about the head games. I'm talking about offensively.
Yeah.
He is a very good player, and I don't want to say that, but he is. And so I do think it played a factor, but I don't know if the outcome would have been any different.
Fair enough.
I think that emotionally, the Toronto players, since that incident, were probably affected a little bit because they've had to deal with this 2 years in a row. So they have severe frustrations towards Nazem Kadri.
That would be reasonable.
So they're not that they're thinking about it all the time. They're obviously not thinking about it after it happens, but it's it's back there in the back of their mind, and they're like,
yeah,
if we make it to the next round, his suspension's up, and now he's playing with us again. What's he going to do in round 2?
Back at it.
I don't know. I'm sure they thought about that a little bit, but anyways.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, just a quick prediction on Boston Columbus. I know we're going to make a video and stuff on that series coming up, but
well,
how do you think they're?
Here's my predictions from the beginning of the playoffs, and I may as well just go upstairs and be around that little white roll in one of our 2 washrooms for all the good it is.
Yeah.
So the fact you're even asking me is a bit of a joke.
Do you think Boston's going to be able to beat Columbus?
I
or should
don't.
I reverse that sentence? Do you think Columbus is going to be able to beat?
I think so. I think Columbus. Tampa Bay played a poor 4 games, but Columbus played so much better than everyone expected. Not everyone, but than I expected that they would play. So some of the reason Columbus has defeated Tampa Bay is on Tampa. A lot of it, probably. But some of it is on Columbus, too. Mm-hmm. They knocked out the league champions, the President's Trophy winners, in 4 games straight. Before any of the playoffs started, and you asked Boston or Toronto, how'd you like to have Columbus in the second round? They'd be like, bring it. I'm not so sure they think that way now. Columbus is a giant killer, and Boston is the next giant in line.
And the thing is, rest becomes a factor. Boston played last night, which was Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thursday. Guess who plays tomorrow?
Do they actually play? Do
Boston
they start?
And Columbus.
Wow.
Yes.
That's going to be...
So Boston has 1 day off. Columbus has at least 7, I think. It's been at least 7 days.
It's been a week. Yeah.
Coming Thursday, tomorrow. So... I don't know.
That can work both ways.
That can work both ways.
Columbus could be a little rusty, too, and they may need a little energy to get up in that first period, where Boston will still have some legs. So, but the first couple of games will be in Boston. Boston will be expected to win both of those games based on the home ice advantage. And if Columbus grabs one of those games, I think it's on.
Oh, snap. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Leave your comments down below and tell me what you think about this series, the Boston-Toronto series, not the upcoming Boston-Columbus series. So, yeah, hope you're having a good day. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I love that. And we'll see you in the next video. Adios.